Welcome to a special deep dive on what might be the most critical insight in modern B2B business. By the time your sales team gets involved with a prospect, 70% of their buying decision has already happened. Hi, I'm Bala Vishwanath, and after 25 years building and scaling B2B tech companies, I've observed a pattern that separates market leaders from everyone else. The most successful organizations don't just compete during formal evaluations. They actively shape how prospects think about their challenges long before a sales conversation begins. What you're about to hear isn't your typical book summary. It's a deep dive exploration of the First70 framework, a systematic approach to influencing the invisible majority of B2B buying decisions that happen before your sales team ever gets involved. Listen in as the transformative ideas of the book, First70, are unpacked in a conversation form, allowing for easy exploration of nuances, connections, and practical applications you simply can't get from traditional presentation formats. Let's dive in.
What if I told you that by the time a potential customer actually talks to your sales team, they've already made 70% of their buying decision? That the real battle for your next deal has already happened long before your sales team even gets the invite.
That's a terrifying thought for B2B businesses. It suggests we might be missing, well, the most crucial part of the game.
Exactly. And that's why today's deep dive is laser focused on completely changing how forward-thinking B2B companies approach their entire go-to-market.
What's fascinating is that this, let's call it the silent phase, is where the real groundwork gets laid. Buyers are forming opinions, defining needs.
All before they pick up the phone or send an email. So understanding and maybe even influencing that early stage seems, well, critical.
Paramount, absolutely. If you're not there, someone else might be.
Exactly. And that's precisely what we're digging into today, this whole concept of the first 70 of B2B buying.
It comes from the book First70, the B2B Go-to-Market Advantage by Bala Vishwanath.
Right. Think of this deep dive as your shortcut to grasping this really crucial but often kind of overlooked piece of B2B's sales and marketing.
Yeah, the book really shines a light on that initial, say, 70% of the buyer's journey, the time before they actively reach out to sales. The key takeaway is that the market leaders, they're proactively shaping decisions during that specific period. It's about getting your perspective out there, like super early.
Makes sense. And the author, Bala Vishwanath, he's got the background to back this up, right?
Oh, absolutely. We're talking over 25 years building and scaling B2B tech companies, CEO roles, heading up marketing, growth.
Startups to enterprise level.
You got it. Plus, really specific experience working with companies like NVIDIA, Apple, Toshiba, Samsung, the heavy hitters.
Wow. So he's seen this play out with some seriously sophisticated buyers. This isn't just, theory from an ivory tower.
Exactly. It's grounded in decades of real-world high-stakes experience. He's seen how those early, maybe subtle influences can totally change a deal's direction.
Especially with well-informed customers, I bet.
They do their homework.
Okay, so for everyone listening, our mission here is to help you understand how to get a real go-to-market advantage by focusing on this early pre-sales phase.
Let's jump into it, this First70 imperative. And what's so fascinating about that 70% figure is, well, the power dynamic it shows. If that much of the decision is shaped pre-sales, then the companies influencing that early thinking, they're not just part of the conversation.
They're defining it.
Exactly. They're often defining the conversation itself.
We want to understand, precisely how these players are strategically shaping how prospects think.
And it's not just knowing it happens. That's not enough. The real power is understanding how. How do you actually engage strategically in that initial phase? And that's where, Vishwanath's framework becomes so valuable.
Absolutely. The book lays out this really detailed roadmap, and we're going to follow a similar path in our deep dive today. We'll kick off with the fundamental principles, then explore the strategic framework he proposes, which honestly, for listeners in this space, offers a really integrated view.
Very integrated.
And then finally, we'll pull out actionable insights, things you can start thinking about, well, right away.
And for executives tuning in, maybe thinking about how to best position their companies for growth, understanding the leverage you get from focusing on this pre-sales influence, that's absolutely key. It's recognizing the battle isn't just fought in the late stages.
No, it's often decided much, much earlier. We know your time is valuable. You're looking for insights you can actually use. So we've distilled the key takeaways from Vishwanath's pretty extensive experience and research. We want to bring you the crucial nuggets, the stuff that can really shift your go-to-market thinking.
Okay, let's get into it.
Let's dive right in, starting with that power shift, the thing that underpins this whole First 70 imperative.
Right. So the fundamental shift Vishwanath really hammers home is this power migration in B2B buying. Buyers, well, they're not just relying on vendor sales teams for info anymore. Not like they used to.
Not at all.
They're doing these deep dives online, consuming tons of digital content, checking peer recommendations, scrutinizing third-party reviews, and they're doing the bulk of this before they even reach out. Think about your own recent B2B buys, right? That initial research, it's often pretty extensive and independent.
That's so true. You definitely feel like you have a good handle on things before you make that first call. And the consequences. Well, Vishwanath argues they're pretty significant for companies that wait for that contact. They're often playing from behind.
Precisely. They're likely facing preconceived notions, maybe influenced by competitors who are more active early on, shaping that narrative. The evaluation criteria prospects are using, they might already be set in a way that doesn't play to your strengths. It's like trying to win a race where the starting line's already moved way back for you.
Ouch. But flip that coin. The advantages for those who do manage to influence that early research, they sound pretty compelling.
Oh, they are. Vishwanath points out, when you engage strategically early on, the criteria prospects develop, they're much more likely to align with your core value prop.
Okay.
Sales cycles tend to shorten because, well, prospects show up already educated, they get the basics of your approach and why it matters to them.
Makes sense. Less groundwork.
Right. And premium pricing. That becomes more sustainable because the value perception is built upstream before price becomes the main thing.
Ah, good point.
And maybe most crucial, real competitive differentiation. It gets a lot easier because you've had a hand in framing the problem and the solutions through your lens.
It's like being the architect of that early conversation, not just, a participant showing up late. And Vishwanath introduces this 8-part strategic framework as the key to making this early influence real.
Yeah, that framework is the core. These 8 interconnected areas really give you a blueprint for how to strategically engage during that vital pre-sales window. It really underscores the need for a coordinated effort across all your go-to-market functions.
Okay, so we get why early influence is critical, but how do organizations figure out where they stand? How do they pinpoint where to focus? That's where this idea of pre-sales influence gaps comes in, right? Diagnose before you prescribe.
Exactly right. Vishwanath really stresses how important it is to diagnose before jumping into action. He argues there can be these hidden weaknesses in your pre-sales influence, things that are silently undermining revenue without you even realizing their full impact. Like a subtle drain.
Like a slow leak in a pipe, right? And Vishwanath outlines some really compelling benefits to doing a detailed assessment of these potential gaps.
Yeah, a good assessment lets you prioritize your investment strategically. Resources are always limited, right?
Always.
So you need to focus on the capability gaps causing the biggest drag on revenue. Plus, it gives you essential baseline metrics. You can't measure progress or ROI if you don't know where you started. These baselines across all 8 areas, they give you that benchmark.
And it's not just about the numbers, is it? He also talks about building cross-functional alignment through the assessment itself.
Absolutely, because influencing buyers' early touches, almost everyone, customer-facing marketing, sales, product, customer success, even leadership. So the assessment process itself becomes this powerful catalyst for getting everyone on the same page about the current limits and future priorities. It helps break down those silos.
Yeah, those dreaded silos.
And maybe most importantly, resource-wise, a thorough diagnostic helps prevent wasted investment. So often, companies jump to tactical fixes without fixing the underlying strategic weaknesses.
Right, like you might pour money into more content, but if your core positioning is off,
right,
that content just won't hit the mark, will it?
Exactly. So Vishwanath gives a structured way to do this self-assessment. What are the key steps?
Okay, lay it out for us.
Well, first step is gathering diverse cross-functional perspectives. You need input from all teams interacting with customers or shaping their perception. Everyone has unique insights. Marketing sees early engagement, Sales knows lead preparedness, product gets technical questions, customer success hears post-purchase feedback that might reveal pre-purchase issues, leadership sees market trends.
It's about getting that 360-degree view of your current pre-sales, and then comes the foundational First70 diagnostic assessment.
Yes, he provides some initial questions in the chapter, but the appendices, they have much more detailed tools for each area, often with maturity models to benchmark yourself. Generally, it involves rating statements for each capability on a scale, like 1 to 5, to gauge your current maturity.
Okay, so quantitative first. But then there's a really important qualitative layer too, right? For context.
Absolutely. The quantitative gives the overview, the comparison, but the qualitative digs into the why. This means doing things like deep win-loss analyses. How did early perceptions affect the deal? Interviewing recent customers about their whole pre-purchase journey, what sources mattered. Listening carefully to early sales calls, what confusion keeps popping up. Reviewing content performance, what actually resonates. And even checking out competitors, how are they shaping early thinking?
That makes total sense. Got to get beyond the numbers to see the real dynamics. And the final step in diagnosis, mapping these gaps back to the 8 First70 areas.
Exactly. This mapping connects the symptoms you see, long sales cycles, price sensitivity, trouble differentiating back to the root causes. It turns diagnostic findings into specific capability gaps.
And ultimately, it boils down to prioritizing. Which gaps do you tackle first, based on impact and effort?
Precisely. Not all gaps are created equal in terms of impact. You have to be strategic, allocate resources where they'll give the biggest return on improving pre-sales influence and ultimately better business outcomes.
Got it. Okay, so we've covered why early influence matters and how to diagnose your current state. Now, let's dive into the heart of it. The very first part of the First70 framework, it's all about journey and intelligence. Why start there? Why is that the absolute foundation?
Well, like the book says, really understanding your buyer deeply, that's step one. Foundational. Without that deep intel, anything you try later, any influence attempt, it's probably going to miss the mark.
Right. Flying blind.
Totally. And today's B2B buyers, they're super resourceful. They do a ton of homework on their own. We're talking, 57% to maybe even 83% of the decision-making process done independently.
Wow, that much.
Yeah. So mastering journey and intelligence lets you understand them and hopefully influence them during those really critical early stages when they're forming opinions.
The book mentions some serious potential gain.
Companies that nail journey and intelligence, they could spot good opportunities way earlier, like 3 to 5 times sooner than competitors just waiting for someone to raise their hand.
3 to 5 times.
Yeah. And they might see prospect to customer conversion rates jump, maybe 40–60%. Plus, understanding those buyer signals better could cut down missed opportunities by a huge margin, like 65–80%.
Okay, those numbers could literally change a business. So how do we actually do this? How do we get that deep buyer understanding? The book lays out 5 core approaches here. Let's take the first one.
Right. The first core approach is identifying your most profitable customer segments. Now, this isn't just, basic demographics, industry, company size, that stuff.
Okay, goes deeper.
Much deeper. It's about getting really granular, understanding behavioral patterns, even psychological triggers. What makes your ideal customers tick? What are their real decision triggers? How do your specific offerings really line up with their deepest needs? And crucially, how do you keep measuring if you're hitting the right people? Refining those ideal profiles constantly. The impact here could be a 40–60% lift in prospect to customer conversions.
So moving beyond just who they are to why they buy and how they think.
Exactly. Then the second approach, hyper-segmenting buyers by knowledge state. Think about it. Someone just realizing they have a problem needs a totally different chat than someone comparing specific vendors, right?
Yeah, completely different headspace.
So this is about categorizing potential buyers based on their awareness level. Are they problem unaware, solution unaware, brand unaware, maybe even offer unaware?
Okay.
Then the key is reading their digital signals. What are they searching for? Clicking on, engaging with, use that to figure out their knowledge state, and then tailor your content, your interactions to gently move them along, nudge them towards greater awareness, get this right. You could see a 30–45% improvement in how well your message actually lands.
Yeah, it makes so much sense. Don't pitch features if they don't even see the problem yet. Okay, what's number 3?
Third is interpreting digital body language. We all leave digital footprints when we research stuff online, right?
Definitely.
This approach is about looking beyond just website visits, really digging into those engagement patterns to understand the deeper intent. Are they hitting the pricing page over and over, downloading specific white papers?
Gotcha. The subtle clues.
Exactly. Recognizing those buying signals, mapping out the typical sequence of clicks and downloads before purchase, even spotting time-sensitive opportunities based on how fast they're engaging that engagement velocity. It's like learning to read the story they're telling you with their clicks. This can boost conversion from digital engagement by 25–40%.
Becoming fluent in click speak. Okay, fourth approach.
Fourth is building predictive intelligence capabilities. This is where you start pulling data together from everywhere. Website analytics, marketing automation, your CRM, social, getting that full picture.
Okay, connecting the dots.
Yeah. Refining your predictive models over time by feeding back results, what worked, what didn't, and crucially, sharing these insights across all your customer-facing teams. Sales, marketing, success, everyone needs the same playbook, the same intel.
Right. No more silos.
The goal is to anticipate needs, spot those promising opportunities way earlier. This could lead to a massive 65–80% reduction in missed opportunities just by predicting better.
Using data to basically see into the near future. And the fifth approach, in journey and intelligence.
The last one here is charting the stakeholder web that drives decisions. Like we said, B2B deals aren't usually one person. The book says often 6 to 10 decision makers are involved. So this approach is all about identifying everyone who has a say, figuring out the pecking order, the influence hierarchy, mapping how they relate to each other, then tailoring your message for each stakeholder's specific concerns, and figuring out how to find and support your internal champions in that prospect company.
Ah, the internal politics. Crucial.
Get this right, navigate those dynamics. You could speed up buying committee alignment by 30–40%.
That alone could save deals. Now, the book also gives practical implementation guides, right, for different company sizes, startups, mid-size, big enterprises.
It does, yeah. Super practical. A startup might focus on, say, founder insights and basic analytics. Mid-size might do more formal persona research, maybe use intent platforms. Big companies, they're likely integrating complex tech stacks using sophisticated AI models. And for each of these 5 approaches, there's also a quick start guide, like, here are the first couple of things you can actually do right now.
Nice. And you mentioned AI. It's playing a bigger role here, isn't it, in understanding buyers early on?
Oh, absolutely. AI is a massive booster for journey and intelligence. Think predictive analytics for lead scoring, intent analysis to see who's actively researching now, stakeholder mapping tools, spotting subtle signal patterns humans might miss, and real-time personalization of your interactions. The book even points to things like Salesforce predictive lead scoring or platforms like 6sense for intent data as real-world examples.
Okay, so this deep buyer understanding, the journey and intelligence piece, it really feels like the bedrock. Everything else builds on this.
That's exactly it. It's the foundation. Which leads us nicely into the next key capability, positioning and messaging.
Right, because once you understand them, you need to know what to say.
Precisely. The core idea here is that the stories the information buyers bump into early in their journey, it massively shapes how they define their own needs and how they'll eventually judge solutions.
Ah, so you're framing their thinking.
Exactly. By strategically shaping those first narratives, you can really influence how they see value, maybe even create some urgency around tackling their challenges.
And the impact of getting positioning and messaging right also sounds pretty significant.
It is. Positioning and messaging can bump up the perceived value of what you offer by maybe 40–60%, and it can increase that need to buy now feeling, that purchase urgency, by 25–40%.
And again, really compelling numbers.
Right.
So how do we craft messaging that influential? What are the book's 5 core approaches here?
Okay, first one is defining your unique transformation narrative. This is about shifting away from just talking features, functionalities, and focusing instead on the bigger picture, the outcomes, the transformations your customers actually get. Using language that resonates at that strategic executive level, challenging the status quo in your industry, building really compelling, memorable stories around the customer's challenges and the future you help them build, always highlighting that better transformed state.
Painting that picture of where you can take them, not just describing the car. Got it. Second approach.
Second is crafting role-specific value propositions. Remember that buying committee? All those different people?
The 6 to 10.
Yeah. They all care about different things. So this approach is about developing distinct messaging that speaks directly to the priorities and pain points of executives versus the practitioners using it daily versus the influencers who might be championing it or blocking it.
Tailoring the message. Seems obvious, but yeah, probably missed a lot. Third approach.
Third is orchestrating adaptive multi-stakeholder communications. This takes that role-specific idea a step further. It's about how you deliver those tailored messages effectively across the whole committee.
Okay, the delivery mechanism.
Yeah, adapting your language, your focus for each role, proactively hitting likely objections head on, organizing your value points based on their priorities, using their jargon, choosing the channels most likely to reach them.
So being really strategic and coordinated with the whole group, making sure everyone feels heard. What's number 4?
Fourth is interesting, leveraging fear of missing out and status anxiety. This digs into the psychology behind B2B decisions.
FOMO in B2B. Wow. So tapping into those deeper anxieties and ambitions that drive decisions, even the rational business ones. And the 5th approach.
Final one for positioning and messaging is creating strategic positioning frameworks. This is about proactively shaping the actual criteria buyers use to evaluate options.
Influencing the scorecard itself.
Exactly. Defining the category you play in, maybe even creating a new category where you're the leader, developing memorable, defensible differentiators, and making sure everyone internally gets it and communicates it consistently.
So influencing not just what they think about you, but how they even think about the problem space. Powerful. And again, the book gives practical guides for different company sizes here too.
Yep. Implementation guidance and quick start steps for each. Startups might focus on a clear founder narrative. Mid-size might build formal message matrices, test positioning angles. Enterprises, maybe dedicated competitive intel teams.
Okay.
Quick start guides suggest things like running a positioning workshop, mapping messages to stakeholder roles, really actionable stuff.
And AI's role in refining positioning and messaging.
AI can be really helpful here. Natural language processing, NLP, can analyze your current messaging, find spots to optimize for clarity, for impact. AI can also do emotional analysis, gauge how your messaging might land emotionally. The book mentions tools like Drift, using NLP for conversational marketing, or Persado AI, focused on emotional triggers.
Interesting. Okay, so we understand the buyer. We've crafted compelling narratives. Next pillar in the First 70 framework is brand and authority. What's the core idea?
All right, brand and authority. The premise here is simple but critical. In B2B, trust is everything. And that trust, it starts forming way before anyone talks to sales.
Okay, so building that reputation early.
Exactly. By consistently building a strong brand, establishing yourself as a real authority, a thought leader in your space, you create that essential foundation of trust and credibility. It makes prospects much more open to hearing your message later on.
And the payoff for building that kind of authority sounds pretty significant too.
It really is. Companies with strong brand authority, they can see engagement based purely on trust increase by 40-60%. They get better brand recall, maybe 25-40% higher. Their content gets shared way more often, like 3 to 5 times more.
Wow.
And they can often directly attribute 15-25% of their sales pipeline value just to these early brand building efforts.
Those are solid results. So how do we build this unshakable credibility, as the book calls it? 5 core approaches here too.
Yep, 5 again. First is cultivating unshakable credibility as a trusted guide. This means consistently demonstrating deep expertise, sharing valuable thought leadership, original research, real insights.
Not just marketing fluff.
No, definitely not. It's about reliably delivering on your brand promises, being open, transparent, building genuine emotional connections by showing you really get their challenges and you're committed to helping them succeed.
Becoming that go-to resource, not just another vendor. Makes sense. Second approach.
Second is applying neuroscience principles to brand building. This looks at how our brains actually process and remember brands.
Neuroscience.
Okay,
Tell me more.
It emphasizes making your brand distinctive so it stands out and is easier to remember. Making interactions with your brand effortless, easy, low friction. Reducing that cognitive load. And consciously linking your brand to positive emotional experiences.
Fascinating. Using brain science for branding. What's number 3?
Third is creating pattern-breaking brand experiences. Look, today's world is noisy, right? Information overload.
Totally. Hard to cut through.
So this is about finding ways to stand out, grab attention, challenging established thinking in your industry, breaking through the noise with fresh, unexpected takes on old problems, meaningfully defying industry norms in ways that actually deliver more value or a better experience.
So memorable, not just for being different, but for offering a genuinely valuable new perspective. Okay, 4th approach.
4th is aligning teams behind a compelling market-moving vision. Brand authority isn't just external marketing. It needs a strong internal foundation.
Right. Everyone needs to be on the same page.
Exactly. Uniting all your teams around a shared purpose, a clear vision for where the market's going, maintaining consistent, coherent communication about the brand everywhere, ensuring every customer interaction reinforces the brand promise, and making sure your execs actually live and breathe the brand values. This alignment can slash message inconsistency by 65–80%.
Your brand is only as strong as the people representing it. Makes total sense. And the fifth approach for brand and authority.
Final one here is developing early-stage KPIs that predict downstream impact. This is about moving beyond vanity metrics, like social followers.
Likes and shares.
Right. And identifying the leading indicators that show your brand building is actually driving real business results later on. Monitoring brand sentiment, awareness in your target audience, measuring the reach and impact of your thought leadership, seeing how early brand activities influence buyer behavior, finding those early signals that correlate with future pipeline and revenue. This helps attribute that 15–25% of pipeline value back to brand.
Connecting the often fuzzy brand stuff to hard business outcomes. Crucial. And again, tailored guidance for different company sizes.
Yes, absolutely. Startups might leverage the founder's personal brand in a niche. Midsize might create signature research reports, build out a content strategy. Enterprises could have dedicated brand management, PR, analyst relations.
Okay.
The Quick Start Guide suggests things like doing a brand audit, defining your core values, actionable first steps.
And AI's role in building brand and authority.
AI can be really useful for monitoring brand perception through sentiment analysis of online chatter. It can also help predict the impact of different content strategies on building authority and optimize brand experiences in real time based on audience engagement. The book mentions platforms like BrandWatch AI for sentiment monitoring as an example.
Okay. Solid foundation of buyer understanding, compelling narratives, established authority. Logically, next comes content and leadership.
Right. Content and leadership. The central idea is simple. In that crucial first 70% of the journey, before sales gets involved, high-quality, insightful content is the buyer's main guide.
Content is king, still.
Pretty much, especially early on. By consistently delivering valuable, thought-provoking content, you can subtly shape their understanding of their problems, influence how they see potential solutions, and really cement your organization as a thought leader, all before a direct sales conversation.
And the impact of a strong content and leadership strategy sounds like it drives a lot.
It really does. Good strategic content can boost trust-based engagement by 35–50%. It can actually shorten the buying committee's decision time by 30–45%.
Shorten decision time. Wow.
Yeah. It can increase the rate people complete your intended content journey by 40–60%, drive overall content engagement 25–40% higher, and even let you get way more mileage out of each core piece, like repurposing one big asset into 5 to 7 smaller pieces.
Huge gains in effectiveness and efficiency there. Okay, 5 core approaches to creating this kind of impactful leadership-driving content.
First one, crafting content that shapes buying criteria unobtrusively. Keyword, unobtrusively. This is about teaching first, selling second, or maybe not selling directly at all in the content.
More educational.
Exactly. Demonstrating benefits implicitly through case studies, data, addressing concerns preemptively, subtly influencing the evaluation criteria they'll use later, establishing credibility through insight, not just product pitches.
Guiding, not pushing. Got it.
Yeah.
Second approach.
Second, providing transformational direction for diverse stakeholders. Remember the buying committee again. This is about creating content that makes complex ideas accessible to everyone involved, painting a clear, compelling picture of the successful future your solution enables, showing a practical, understandable path to get there, and directly connecting your offerings to the big strategic goals of their organization.
Providing clarity and vision for the whole team, helping them see the path forward. Third core approach.
Third, designing interconnected systems that guide buying committees. This is about creating structured content journeys, using multiple formats, blogs, white papers, webinars, tools to cater to different learning styles, strategically linking related pieces together, and using progressive disclosure, revealing more detail as they get deeper into the journey.
Like a structured learning experience, anticipating their needs. Okay, fourth approach.
Fourth, building stories that frame buyer understanding. This taps into the power of narrative. Stories create mental models, frameworks for how people understand things.
Even in B2B.
Especially in B2B. Crafting complete stories beginning, middle, end. Establishing tension, a problem to solve. Positioning the customer as the hero. Providing a satisfying resolution through your insights. And deliberately designing narratives to evoke specific emotions that resonate.
The human brain loves stories. Makes sense. And the fifth, final approach for content and leadership.
Final one. Creating rapid content development systems. To be a consistent thought leader, you need an efficient content engine, not just one-off efforts.
It needs to be sustainable.
Exactly. Optimizing workflows, coordinating resources, maximizing value from each piece through atomization, repurposing that 5 to 7 pieces idea, scheduling for consistent output, maintaining quality while increasing speed.
Building a content machine that keeps delivering value.
And again, tailored implementation guidance for different company sizes.
Yes. Startups might focus on founder expertise for core content. Midsize might build editorial calendars, repurposing workflows. Enterprises could build dedicated content ops teams, explore global local strategies. Quick start guide actions include mapping your buyer journey to content needs, picking one core asset to atomize and repurpose right away. And AI's role in content leadership.
AI can really help with personalizing content delivery based on individual behavior. It can give great insights into content consumption, what's working, what's not, where people drop off. The book mentions things like HubSpot AI for personalization or Path Factory for analyzing consumption and creating personalized experiences.
Okay, we've covered the first 4 pillars. Now moving on to growth and demand. What's the main focus here?
Right, growth and demand. The focus here really shifts towards converting all that awareness and thought leadership you've built into actual pipeline growth and ultimately revenue.
Okay, making it rain.
Essentially. The emphasis shifts to quality over sheer quantity and finding and removing any friction points that slow buyers down on their journey.
So attract the right people and make it easy for them to buy. Makes sense. What kind of impact can nailing growth and demand have?
Significant impact. Organizations doing this well typically see a 30–45% improvement in opportunity quality. They speed up buying velocity, how fast deals move by 25–40% just by removing those friction points.
Faster deals, better deals.
Exactly. And they often see a big jump, 30–50%, in customer expansion rates, especially by smartly blending product-led and sales-led.
Okay, serious gains in efficiency and revenue. What are the 5 core approaches for driving this kind of growth and demand?
First core approach, focusing on quality over quantity to build stronger revenue. This is a mindset shift. Stop chasing every lead, focus on the best fit leads.
Ideal customer profile focus.
Right. Continuously refining that ICP based on real deal outcomes, enhancing your visibility specifically to those high-value prospects, and optimizing your conversions at each funnel stage to focus resources on the most promising opportunities.
Being more targeted, more strategic. Got it. Second key approach.
Second, removing obstacles to accelerate the buyer's journey, mapping out every single step a prospect takes, from first touch to sign deal, and then ruthlessly eliminating hurdles.
Finding the friction points.
Exactly. Simplifying website navigation, streamlining forms, ensuring smooth handoffs between teams, reducing cognitive load with clear info, speeding up access to value, proactively answering questions, all of that.
Making it frictionless. Seems like a huge competitive advantage. Third core approach.
Third, selecting the ideal approach for your current stage. This acknowledges there's no single right way to do growth and demand gen. What works evolves.
Right. Depends on your maturity, the market.
Exactly. Tailoring your go-to-market to your company's size, stage, adapting based on competitive shifts, market changes, refining based on your own data, what's working, reallocating investments smartly, staying alert to new channels, new opportunities.
Being agile, data-driven, constantly learning. Okay. Fourth approach.
Fourth, integrating product-led and sales-led approaches. This is about strategically blending self-service product experiences with more traditional consultative sales engagements, getting the best of both worlds.
PLG and SLG working together.
Precisely. Carefully aligning them, ensuring seamless handoffs. Defining when each approach is best. Maintaining consistent messaging across both. Even incentivizing collaboration between product and sales teams. This integration is key for boosting those expansion rates.
A hybrid strategy, maximizing reach and effectiveness. Smart. And the fifth, final core approach.
Final one, building comprehensive attribution before formal sales. This is about finally connecting the dots, understanding which early-stage thought leadership activities actually drive pipeline and close deals.
The holy grail of marketing attribution.
Kind of. Tracking touch points, analyzing what pushes prospects from stage to stage, forecasting pipeline progression, accurately assessing pipeline value and health, spotting those early indicators of future success. Getting this right helps connect maybe 65–80% of closed deals back to those crucial early-stage activities.
Understanding that link between early influence and final revenue. Absolutely essential for optimizing everything. And again, tailored guidance for different company sizes here too.
Yep. Startups might focus on targeted outreach, streamlined funnels, midsize might run multi-channel campaigns, basic lead scoring, enterprises, sophisticated account-based marketing, ABM, predictive analytics.
Okay.
Quick start guide actions include defining your ICP clearly, mapping your current buyer journey to find those friction points.
And AI's role in growth and demand seems like a big one.
Huge. AI powers propensity modeling, who's likely to buy, intent scoring, who's actively looking now, attribution intelligence connecting activities to revenue. The book mentions tools like Gong AI for analyzing sales conversations or Demand Base for ABM as examples here.
Okay, we're into the home stretch of the framework.
Yeah.
Next up, partners in ecosystem. What's the core idea?
Right. Partners in ecosystem. The core premise is simple. Strategic partnerships massively multiply your reach and influence, often far beyond what you could ever achieve alone.
Leveraging others' networks and credibility.
Exactly. And often buyers trust recommendations or solutions coming through a collaborative ecosystem more than from a single vendor pushing their own wares.
Makes sense. And the potential reach extension sounds incredible.
It can be. The book suggests well-designed partner programs could extend your reach 3 to 5 times. Plus, strong ecosystems create network effects. The whole thing becomes more valuable as more relevant players join.
That kind of leverage is a game changer. Okay, 5 core approaches to building effective partnerships.
First, designing partnership structures that expand market presence. This means strategically choosing partners whose strengths complement yours. Maybe they reach customer segments or regions you don't. Leveraging their established authority, sharing investment costs for market entry, spreading the risk and challenge of expansion.
Creating win-wins where everyone gets access to new opportunities. Second approach.
Second, developing collaborative programs with greater combined impact. This goes beyond simple referrals. It's about deeper integration.
Like joint offerings.
Exactly. Joint product or service bundles. Aligning your messaging, your narratives. Strategically sharing customer bases. Jointly planning resource allocation for co-marketing, co-selling, and carefully tracking the specific results coming from the partnership activities.
Moving from just passing leads to true collaboration, where 1 + 1 = 3, third approach.
Third, evolving transactional relationships into strategic networks. This is the long game, building interconnected ecosystems, not just individual partnerships.
Building a whole web.
Yeah. Fostering innovation across the network, maybe co-developing new solutions together, even influencing how the whole ecosystem operates, think certifications, shared tech standards.
A thriving interconnected network driving shared success, powerful long-term vision. Fourth approach.
Fourth, win-win frameworks for mutual growth. This stresses designing partner programs so there are clear, tangible benefits for everyone, not just you.
Got to keep partners happy and engaged.
Absolutely. Establishing shared goals beyond just revenue. Transparent reporting on outcomes. Aligning expansion timelines and strategies for mutual benefit.
Aligning incentives, ensuring everyone sees clear value. Crucial for sustainability. And the fifth, final approach for partners and ecosystem.
Final one. Driving collaborative creation of new solutions and market opportunities. This is proactive co-innovation, working with partners to build totally new things you couldn't do alone.
Pushing the boundaries together.
Yeah, jointly targeting emerging markets, combining unique expertise, enhancing each other's capabilities, even fostering totally new business models, leveraging the ecosystem's combined strengths. This can lead to much higher margins, maybe 25–40% through unique joint capabilities.
Co-innovation unlocking new possibilities. Very cool. And tailored implementation guidance here too. Startups to enterprise.
Yep. Startups might find a few key strategic partners, set up basic referrals. Midsize might build a formal tiered program, maybe a partner portal. Enterprises, dedicated global alliances teams, complex ecosystem architectures. Quick start guide actions include identifying potential complementary partners, maybe drafting a simple partnership agreement outline.
And AI's role in managing partners and ecosystems.
AI can help identify potential partners by analyzing company data, industry adjacencies, existing connections, understand the dynamics, spot key influencers, uncover new partnership opportunities. Platforms like Crossbeam, which map overlapping customer bases with partners, are examples of data-driven ecosystem tools.
Okay, almost there. Second to last strategic area. Community and advocacy. What's the core idea?
Right. Community and advocacy. The central idea is powerful. Your happy customers. They can be your best, most persuasive marketers.
Word of mouth on steroids.
Kind of. By actively cultivating a strong community among your customers, you generate authentic validation all through that early buyer journey. And that peer validation is often way more credible than anything you say yourself.
Turning happy customers into vocal champions. Super effective.
Mm.
What kind of impact can strong community and advocacy programs deliver?
Organizations doing this well can see 15–25% of their pipeline generated through advocacy. They tend to have much higher retention among advocates, like 70–85% higher.
Wow, advocates stick around.
They do, and they reduce perceived implementation risk for new prospects by 30–45% just through peer validation.
Okay, 5 core approaches to building these communities and activating advocates.
First, building systematic programs that influence early-stage decisions. This is about being proactive, identifying potential advocates, creating meaningful incentives for them to participate, systematically collecting and curating their success stories, their testimonials, building pathways for them to get more involved over time, and tracking the impact on real business outcomes, leads, pipeline influence.
So creating a structured, rewarding way for happy customers to help you find new ones. Got it. Second approach.
Second, creating exceptional experiences that transform customers into thought leaders. This is about elevating your best customers, giving them platforms for recognition.
Making them the stars.
Exactly. Amplifying their success stories, case studies, webinars, showcasing their knowledge to the community, the market, connecting their advocacy to their own professional growth.
Helping them build their reputation too. Great way to foster loyalty. Third approach.
Third, leveraging peer validation to build prospect confidence. This means creating diverse, credible ways for prospects to hear directly from existing customers.
Forums, reviews, reference calls.
Right. Addressing that inherent risk buyers feel by showcasing successful deployments, positive outcomes from peers, building certainty through social proof. Look how many similar companies are succeeding with this.
Prospects trust peers more than vendors. Makes perfect sense. Fourth approach.
Fourth, strategically matching success stories to buying concerns. This requires really understanding common objections, fears that pop up early in the buying process. Then, carefully matching specific customer stories, testimonials, to directly address those concerns.
Right proof, right person, right time.
Exactly. Providing relevant peer examples for different roles on the buying committee. Highlighting results that match the prospect's specific goals.
Delivering targeted validation. Final approach for community and advocacy.
Final one, implementing the Land, Expand, Explode framework. This uses internal advocacy to drive growth within existing accounts, turning an initial departmental win into broader enterprise-wide adoption.
Growing accounts from the inside out.
Yeah, planning for expansion from day one, continuously showing value to create internal champions, developing those advocates inside the customer org, then leveraging their success to drive adoption elsewhere in the company.
Using internal advocates for sustainable growth. Very smart. And implementation guidance for different sizes here too.
Yes. Startups might find early enthusiasts, mid-size might build a formal reference program, host user webinars, enterprises, maybe a formal customer advisory board, annual user conferences.
Okay.
Quick Start Guide suggests identifying your most enthusiastic customers, creating a simple way for them to share feedback.
And AI's role in community and advocacy.
AI can help identify potential advocates by analyzing engagement data, sentiment. It can help personalize content within community platforms, measure community health and sentiment, even help track advocacy's impact on the pipeline. Platforms like Influtive are mentioned for managing and amplifying advocacy.
Okay, finally, the last of the 8 strategic areas. Orchestration and integration. Sounds like the glue holding it all together.
That's exactly what it is, the core premise. Best strategies, the best capabilities in the other 7 areas, they'll fall short if they aren't working together harmoniously.
Right, silos kill effectiveness.
Totally. This final chapter is all about aligning your go-to-market functions, unifying customer touchpoints, coordinating signals and messages across the entire buyer journey, creating one seamless, impactful experience.
And the benefits of achieving this kind of orchestration sounds like it impacts the bottom line directly.
It really does. Research from Serious Decisions, now Forrester, showed companies with tightly aligned sales and marketing grow revenue 24% faster and profits 27% faster.
Wow. 24% and 27% faster growth.
Yeah. Good orchestration ensures all your First 70 efforts work in concert, maximizing impact, creating a much better, more consistent experience for prospects.
Okay, huge bottom line results. 5 core approaches to achieve this crucial unified execution.
First, orchestrating all GTM functions in perfect harmony. Breaking down those silos, marketing, sales, product, customer success, aligning them around common objectives that go beyond just departmental goals.
You shared goals.
Right. Ensuring clear, consistent communication between functions. synchronizing campaigns, content, sales efforts, even thinking about aligning compensation to encourage collaboration and shared accountability for revenue.
Getting the whole engine working together smoothly. Fundamental. Second approach.
Second, engaging prospects through synchronized multi-level outreach. This means coordinating outreach across different levels within the prospect company.
Top down and bottom up together.
Exactly. Aligning messaging for executives and practitioners, approaching from multiple angles simultaneously, creating interactions that reinforce each other, ultimately making it easier for diverse stakeholder groups within the prospect company to reach agreement. This can cut decision deadlock by 30–40%.
A coordinated, comprehensive approach to the whole organization. Got it. Third approach.
Third, establishing a central intel hub that connects all functions, creating that unified view of customer data, integrating info from marketing automation, CRM, website analytics, success platforms.
Single source of truth.
Right. A comprehensive understanding of customers and prospects, democratizing insights across all customer-facing teams, accelerating decisions based on shared intelligence. This can reduce blind spots by 60–75%.
Everyone working from the same data, same understanding. Powerful. Fourth approach.
Engineering the entire pre-sales experience as one journey, meticulously mapping every potential touch point a prospect might have, from first glance to signed deal and beyond.
Designing the whole experience.
Ensuring seamless transitions between teams, channels, removing departmental barriers that create friction or feel disjointed to the buyer, and constantly using customer feedback to refine and optimize the whole journey. This can increase journey completion by 25–35%.
A smooth, consistent, positive experience, end-to-end. Final core approach for orchestration and integration.
Final one, assessing organizational readiness for integrated GTM. Taking an honest look at where your organization is now, what capabilities need improvement for true integration.
Right. Strategically allocating resources for integration efforts. Ensuring team buy-in through good change management. Establishing clear metrics to track progress not just on implementing processes, but on achieving the desired business outcomes.
Building the internal capacity for integration, essential for making it stick. And tailored guidance here too.
Yes. Startups might focus on a shared playbook, strong team communication. Mid-size might create cross-functional councils, define journey stage ownership. Enterprises, maybe a formal RevOps function, integrated planning cycles. Quick Start Guide suggests mapping your current journey touchpoints visually, starting regular cross-functional coordination meetings.
And AI's role in orchestration and integration.
AI can be crucial for sharing intelligence across functions, automatically surfacing key insights from different data sources. It can also help optimize the overall buyer journey by analyzing patterns and spotting bottlenecks. Platforms like Terminus, focused on account-based orchestration, are examples of tech supporting this alignment. Wow. Okay, we've covered all 8 areas of the framework in detail. So how do organizations actually do this? Translate concepts into action. That's where assessment and planning come in.
Exactly. Chapter 11 guides you from understanding the framework to building a concrete, actionable plan. It starts with a capability maturity framework. It's a structured way to evaluate your current capabilities across all 8 areas, on a scale from level 1 ad hoc up to level 5 optimized. The appendices have detailed questions and criteria for this self-assessment.
So step 1 is getting that honest picture of where you stand across all 8 dimensions. Then what's next in planning?
After assessing, the crucial next step is translating those findings into clear, specific, measurable objectives. Like, if journey and intelligence is weak, an objective might be reduce time to identify qualified ops by X% in Y months. Then, each objective needs concrete initiatives or projects designed to close those gaps. Executive sponsor, initiative owner, team members, timelines, resources.
Project management and accountability. Got it. And then the sequencing. You can't do everything at once.
Precisely. You need to think carefully. Which foundational capabilities come first? Which initiatives offer quick wins for momentum and buy-in? What are your resource constraints? How ready is the org for change? Prioritizing high-impact, feasible initiatives. And to measure progress, Vishwanath introduces the influence to revenue framework.
Ah, the measurement piece.
Yeah, a valuable 4-layer tool linking early influence to revenue. It covers perceptual indicators, buyer perception shifts, behavioral indicators, engagement changes, intent indicators, purchase intent signals, and finally, revenue outcomes, sales impact, with specific KPI examples for each layer. He also gives prioritization tools like the impact effort matrix and guidance on aligning your First 70 focus with your main business challenges: revenue acceleration, market authority, digital engagement, enterprise expansion.
So it's a very structured, data-driven way to make the framework in your specific context, which leads perfectly to the final chapter, implementation and next steps.
Yes. Chapter 12 is the practical how-to for turning the roadmap into reality. It starts with essential prerequisites, a dedicated cross-functional implementation team, proper change management prep, and adequate resources and governance. Then he suggests a 30, 60, 90-day implementation roadmap. First 30 days, foundation building, quick wins for momentum. Next 30, core capability development. Final 30, scaling and integration, embedding the changes.
Starting focused, then building out. What are some key success factors Vishwanath points out for implementation?
He emphasizes selecting initial quick wins that show visible results, early builds enthusiasm. Strong, sustained cross-functional engagement is vital. Clear, consistent executive alignment and support. A data-driven approach to iterate and adjust based on metrics. And proactively communicating progress and learnings across the org. And importantly, he gives your first 5 actions, things you can do almost immediately.
Oh yeah, like what?
Schedule a 90-minute buyer journey workshop. Conduct 3 customer interviews focused on their pre-purchase research. Audit your digital first impression anonymously. Create your initial First70 dashboard with 1 metric from each influence to revenue layer. And identify 1 potential quick win using the impact effort matrix.
Those are super concrete starting points. And he also tackles common challenges and pitfalls, right? With strategies to overcome them.
Yes, practical guidance on navigating hurdles like organizational silos, resistance to change, avoiding overambition, resource constraints, tech integration issues, measurement lag, maintaining leadership focus. For each, he offers pragmatic strategies.
And importantly, this isn't a one-time project, is it? He stresses continuous evolution.
Absolutely. It's about building a culture of continuous improvement around First70 principles, embedding the thinking into processes, continuously listening to the market and buyers, progressively developing capabilities, proactively adapting to tech disruptions. He even outlines a mastery journey, stages from executing within functions to full GTM integration, and discusses the compounding advantages, shaping problem descriptions, creating buyer preference, setting criteria, forcing competitor response.
It's truly a journey, not a destination. Wow. Well, this has been an incredibly thorough deep dive into Bala Vishwanath's First70. To wrap up, what's the single most crucial takeaway for our listeners?
The core message unequivocally is this. In today's B2B world, understanding and actively influencing that critical first 70% of the buying journey before sales engagement isn't just an advantage, it's an absolute imperative for success. Companies failing to engage strategically here are operating at a significant and growing disadvantage.
And by thoughtfully implementing these principles, what tangible benefits can B2B executives realistically expect?
By focusing on proactively influencing those early stages, organizations can expect to gain a significant, sustainable strategic edge, experience noticeably shorter sales cycles, build stronger market authority, and ultimately drive more efficient, predictable, sustainable revenue growth. It's strategically shifting from reacting to inquiries to proactively shaping needs and guiding understanding right from the start.
And for listeners ready to act now, there are those 5 concrete first 5 actions. And the appendices in the book sound like a goldmine: assessment tools, templates, industry adaptations, measurement frameworks.
They really are. A wealth of practical, applicable resources to support implementation in any size org, any industry. Invaluable tools for turning these concepts into real-world action and results.
It really drives home that taking that first step, however small, is key to unlocking the power of influencing that crucial first 70%. And on that powerful note, we'll leave you with an inspiring quote from Bala Vishwanath himself. It's your story to tell. Make it legendary.